If you can't be alone, don't be alone. There are places that you can go, AA meeting. You can call me up. I'll chat with you on the phone. If you can drink on the holidays, hey, more power to you.
Mhm.
I applaud you. But there's some of us that cannot. And go to a meeting, find a meeting, call a friend, call your mom, call somebody. Pick up the phone and don't be alone. You don't have to drink because, look, as cliche as this is, I'm going to lay it on you. If I can do it, you can do it.
¿Cómo se va and qué pasa? Welcome to the In the Pocket with J-Bo podcast, and I am your host, Jade Bodwin. If you would, please subscribe. We are on Apple, Spotify, iHeart, Amazon Music, and especially on YouTube, where you can catch all of our episodes. We also advertise the show on X, formerly Twitter, and TikTok. We do a lot of advertising on TikTok, Instagram, LinkedIn, and Facebook as well. So we're all over the place. You can't miss us. If you go on YouTube, hit that little bell, ding, ding, ding. And that way you won't miss any episode or any of the short clips I put out there. Really exciting. The brand's really growing. So I really appreciate if you guys do it. Thank y'all very much for that. Today's show, we're going to be talking about kind of a hardcore subject, and it's having to deal with addiction and recovery, mainly recovery from addictions, which is 100% possible. And I want to thank our very special guest that we're having on today. And he's here to share his story. And I really appreciate him, volunteering to open up to have this discussion with us. From New Iberia, Louisiana, I'd like to welcome Mr. Ryan Anthony Duplichin. Welcome to the show, Ryan.
Jay, man, thanks for having me here. I appreciate the invite. I like the hat, by the way. That's a nice, it's
Yeah,
a very
hey,
nice
man.
hat you got going on there.
Got to represent.
Good, good job. And kudos on the podcast, man. I've been keeping up with all the episodes. A lot of good stuff coming out of here, man. Keep it up.
Thank you, brother. Really appreciate it. Thank you. Make sure Big Mike knows I'm wearing this, man.
I'll be sure to let him know.
I mean, Nick, make sure Big Mike knows about it, man.
We're not worried about Nick. We'll let Mike
We
know.
love
Very
Nick,
good.
man. We love Nick. So anyway, with the hardcore subject, we're going to be dealing with addictions and recovery from addiction. Before we get into that hardcore subject, if you would, Ryan, tell us a little bit about yourself and, where you're from to kind of set the stage of what we have going on here with our discussion.
Sure. Let's see. Born and raised in Rain, Louisiana. I'm 45. I graduated Rain High School 1998. The youngest of
Okay.
5 kids.
Woo!
I'm the baby. Yeah, a lot of butt whoopings over the years growing up, just being the baby. Um, our parents were married over 50 years. Mom passed 6 years ago.
Okay. Right.
Just a normal childhood, I'd say.
I don't know about that, man. In high school, I see you were a drum captain over at Rain, and you also were Louisiana All-Star Marching Band in '97. That's pretty impressive.
That's correct. I was always a drummer from as far back as I can remember. I think I officially say I started playing at about 11. And then high school, they just let me play drums all the time. It was great.
I love it. I can tell you, as you know, my youngest son was a drumline captain at LSU, and we used to have to tell that cat to stop practicing when he was young, because beating on them damn drums in the garage, all the neighbors
Yeah,
would come over and everything. I'm sure you had to deal with a lot of that growing up.
a lot of that. I still deal with that as an adult in my own home. I still deal with that.
So you were in the Air Force, understand,
Yes,
for 3 years, 2 or 3 years, it looks like.
and 3 years. So after
Okay.
I graduated, let's see, after I graduated high school in 98, joined the Air Force for 3 years, came home, and here we are.
All right, cool. Well, I thank you for your service, and I love having veterans on the show, being one myself. So talk to me about
Absolutely.
your hobbies a little bit, man. What do you like to do outside of,
Hmm.
I know you're a general manager at Louisiana Environmental Monitoring. I want to make sure everybody gets a good view of this hat right here, man. What do you like to do outside of work? Because I know you're very, very busy with the work that you do. and I know you're a drummer as well. So, what do you like to do really to unwind? To reboot, recalibrate yourself.
Interesting question. So outside of spending time with the wife, I see my beautiful bride, and then we have a 15-year-old
What's her
year old
name?
son. Stephanie
Stephanie's your wife. Okay.
is my wife, and then Eli, oldest son, and then Mason is our youngest son. I do have an older daughter. She's 26, lives in California. Just gave me a grandbaby, so you're
Nice.
sitting.
Nice.
Right, right. So we're excited about that. So you're talking about ways to unwind. I think for me personally, it's just hanging out with family, even if
Okay.
we're even if we're on the couch, not doing anything, whatever. Just family is how I like to unwind, I'd say.
I'm okay with it with the relaxation part. I'm sure you feel the same way with the drumming side of things.
Absolutely. Drumming is absolute therapy for me. If I don't play after a while, I get a little not
Little antsy.
irritated, but just a little jittery, if you will. So it's time for me to go lock myself in the room and practice or go to band practice or whatever. And
Yeah, and
it
I'm
always
sure.
helps. No, I was just saying it always helps to have that outlet. So like unwinding with family is part of it. Playing music for me is the other part of it. And that's if you
Right,
want to
right.
catch me unwinding, you'll find me somewhere with a drumsticks in my hands.
Behind
That's
the
me
kit, right?
unwinding. Right, right. I don't want to talk to nobody. I just want to do my deal.
Ryan, I'm really appreciative of you being on today, and we're going to cover some hardcore ground. And I think you know this. I had experience of dealing with Alcoholics Anonymous AA when I was a teenager in high school because realistically, both of my grandfathers were serious alcoholics, and I grew up in the suburban area of New Orleans, suburban almost sounding cosmopolitan to what it really was. It was kind of a tough area, and my maternal grandfather actually sobered up and joined AA. They didn't have a car, my grandparents on my mother's side. And I used to drive him to some of his AA meetings and watch his speeches. Man, for a 17, 18, 19 year olds, pretty hardcore stuff
It is
to see my grandfather and to see things he did when I was younger, around 12, 13, 14 years of age. He wasn't a mean drunk. He was more of a happy, laid back drunk, but he was drunk.
right.
Never anything inappropriate or anything like that, but you always knew what he was going to drink because he'd have the 2 6 packs of beer and he'd have the 2 packs of cigarettes and you put them on the table and start going at it. We'll
Yep.
get into all of that in a little bit. I just wanted you to know I had a little background dealing with that, and you and I had talked about it a little bit, but I wanted to
Right.
just for disclosure purposes here. This is the foundation of my podcast, which is talking to everyday people about everyday types of subjects. So that matches up perfectly with us, Ryan, because we're just everyday guys, man. Like us sitting down at the table, shooting the bull, having a little discussion. And I'm just naturally a curious guy. I'm intrigued with things. I love talking to people, and I know you do too. That's why I think this is important that we're doing this today. So our
I agree.
family, friends, and colleagues, and everybody sees it. But the main message we want to get across is that there is a way to recover from it, and we'll get into all that.
Yes.
Before we get into the hardcore stuff, I want to have a little fun here. So let's have some icebreaker questions, man.
Right. Okay. Lay it on me. Lay it on me.
I've been wanting to ask you this one first out. The name of the podcast is In the Pocket with J Bo.
Right.
A lot of people out there don't know what in the pocket really means. From a musician standpoint, being a seasoned, experienced musician that you are, and very good, outstanding drummer, one of the best drummers I've seen live in person. That's not part of a professional band.
Thank you.
And I know you don't like hearing that. I know you're very humble with all
Not at
that.
all.
Ladies
But
and
thank you.
gentlemen, Ryan is amazing behind that kit. I put him up there in the top three of people I know, behind that kit. Steve Owens, our drummer with my band, Bayou Junction. Shameless plug is one of my other favorite drummers, and my son Seth. So shameless
Right. Right.
plugs
Right.
everywhere, baby, all over the place.
Hey,
You know,
we'll take it. We'll take it. Good.
what do we
Good.
say in Louisiana, Ryan? That's my people, man.
That's it. That's it. That's all my
That's
people.
my people, man. So anyway, my question is number one is what does in the pocket mean to Ryan?
That is a super easy question. When your bass player and your drummer is locked in on a groove and there's no getting out of it, that is in the pocket. It is that simple.
That's right.
It's not to be overthought or anything like that. And the bass player and drummer will know instantly when they're in it, and the band may or may not, but you guys will absolutely like it's the facial expressions for me that I give my bass player whenever we're locked
Right,
in.
right.
And it's a weird thing. I guess it's a conversation with your eyes.
It's you call it usually that bass face because I'll look over and I'll drum a Steve and I'm like,
Yep, that's it. That's the face.
they call it bass face, I think. Like
That's the
you know,
face. And that's
he's
the
looking
in
at
the
me going,
pocket face. Yep.
and it's more of something that you feel. You know,
Right, right.
it's you hear it, but you really feel it while you're playing. And man, I got to tell you, it's an awesome feeling because the more you're in the pocket in that same groove tempo with each other, because you're basically in a rhythm section, right? Am I right or wrong?
Yeah. You're the
You know,
foundation.
you're the foundation that everything's built upon. It's
That's
the
it.
drummer and the bass, and then you got, the guitars on top of that and the higher level instruments from there and the voices and whatnot. But that rhythm section, and guys, if you don't know, try to listen to a song and take out the drums and the bass and listen to it. You're going to be like, what the hell's that? It's almost like the hidden foundation, I guess, Ryan. It's really
Right, right.
cool and in the pocket, because somebody asked me what in the pocket meant, and I said the same, almost verbatim what you said. So cool stuff.
It's the part of the song. It's the part of the song that make the people dance. That's your pocket.
Without a doubt. Today, y'all got a bass player and a drummer, so we are really in the pocket today.
You guys are in trouble.
Look out, baby. Okay, next question I have is, what is your favorite vacation destination and why?
I'm gonna say East Tennessee in the
East
fall.
Tennessee in the
In the
fall.
fall. In the fall.
Okay.
Right before it snows. Last time we went, as we were leaving, it was coming down. I'm from South Louisiana. I don't
Gatlinburg,
have any.
what are you talking?
Uh,
Gatlinburg,
yeah, Gatlinburg, Pigeon Forge, Sevierville,
Sevierville.
that
Yeah.
that whole
Yeah.
kind of corridor. Very, very
Absolutely.
nice.
That's where my wife Becky and I got married at, man, is in that area. Yep.
Yeah,
Beautiful, beautiful
beautiful.
area. We went back for our 10-year anniversary several years ago. And I tell you what, I could go there every year. I love it out there. Love it, love it, love it.
Yes, it's
What do you like
nice.
so much about it?
The mountains, the driving on the mountains,
Yeah.
the change of scenery. I mean, all we see around here are flat roads and sugarcane fields,
Yeah.
and 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 that's it. That's all we get
Right.
around here. So it's a complete change of scenery. There's a beach not far, but I don't think I'm a beach person per se. I'd rather
Right.
be on a mountain instead.
All right. Last question I have for you. And this is one I always like to ask everyone. And it's kind of a deep question. I've gotten some really amazing answers on it. So if you could go back in time and have a conversation with anyone and they wanted to speak to you as well, who would it be? And as I always like to say, and why? Could be a family member, could be some type of celebrity, could be music person. It doesn't matter. It could be Jesus. It doesn't matter. It could be anybody. Just off the top of your head, if you had a chance to go back in time
All you
and
get
have
is
that
one.
conversation, all you get is one.
I think you might need that.
I'll give you two
Tie.
max. Since we're in the pocket, I'll give you two.
I mean, I don't know. For me, the obvious answer would be Jesus.
Right?
And that would be, I think, one of the most fascinating conversations that you could ever have with a human being.
Mm-hmm.
And I can give you 1,000 different reasons why that would be an interesting conversation. We could do a whole nother podcast on that.
Sure.
Um, but so that would be number one. Number two, there's a drummer from the 1940s, 50s. Buddy Rich is the guy's name.
Oh yeah. Yeah, I heard Buddy Rich. Definitely. Yep.
Big fan of that guy, and I would like to pick his brain.
Why?
You've ever seen him play?
Yeah, I've seen YouTubes of him playing before.
It's the foundation of kind of jazz, but he introduced that kind of, it's a John Bonham, very
Right.
powerful drummer. He got a lot of
Led
influence
Zeppelin.
from that
Yeah.
guy. Karen Carpenter was another one. She was a phenomenal, very
Amazing drummer.
underrated for, I mean, for in today's conversations.
Yes.
And
Yes.
they all took a lot of cues and a lot of education from Buddy Rich. So that's kind of, it's a drummer thing, man.
Right on. Right on. I got old Ginger Baker above my head right there, man, if you can
Yep,
see
I
that.
noticed that.
Awesome, man. I love that. And I'm going to tell you one thing that one of my prior guests said about having a conversation with Jesus, I thought was great. He said, I talk to Jesus. I would say Jesus, but I talk to Jesus every day, and he responds in his own way back to me. I thought
That's
that
a
was
good
really
answer.
cool. So I said, I'm going to give you another one since he gave me that. I said, that's cool, man. All right.
I
So
do like
that's
that.
all of our icebreaker questions that I have. And so let's get into, I call it the third block, like these professional people do. And like we said, we're going to have some hardcore discussion here. Um, we're not going to dig too deep in the weeds. I want you get to the level that you're comfortable at. And the whole point of this is sharing a story. If this helps one person, the whole thing's worth it. If
Yep.
this helps somebody take that first step to get back on the right track, it's worth it because it is possible. Many, many people have done it. And sometimes you just need that little kick in the pants, or you need a little hug, or, a little encouragement. And hopefully we can virtually provide all of those things today. The premise of our question is that I'm going to ask Ryan today is almost like when, and we're both military veterans, when you go into the military, they tear you down and they build you up. So how we're going to chronologically discuss Ryan's situation is we're going to tear it down, and then we're going to get to where he built himself up. And I think that's a good way to do this. With the first question I got today, Ryan, is, and I'm looking down a little bit because I'm checking my notes, is how and why, did you end up down this road? And when did you first notice that, hey, there's some things going on here I don't need to be a part of. So you got the floor, my friend.
All right. Let's get into it. When did I know? I didn't know until probably the second half of my teens that I had a problem. I think it started for me in probably 2002. And so once I came back from the Air Force,
Okay.
I was recently home. I was always wanted to party guy. I always wanted to have a good time.
Sure.
And things like that. And there were signs earlier on that you don't see. So I can go back until the age of 11, which we're talking 1991. That was the first time I ever got drunk. Some older family members were giving me shots, right? And
Sure.
um, I didn't know exactly what's going on. I knew I liked it, and I knew I wanted to do it again. And so that's
Right.
a red flag. Number one, looking back, every chance I got to get alcohol, I could, and at weddings and family gatherings and things like that.
Yeah. Crawfish boils that we do, going fishing,
All of
coming
it,
back, going to camp, because same thing. Some of the uncles and the uncles' friends would be the one handing it to the kids. Here's a Miller Pony, here's a shot, that kind
right.
of stuff. Weddings. Yeah, I definitely know what you're talking about.
And then once I got older, I got home from the military. It seems like that party mentality kind of escalated very quickly, and then probably 2007, 2008. That's where the wheels kind of came off for me, and I think at that point I knew I had a problem. It was alcohol. It was I'm going to call it other substances. So just alcohol and other substances were a huge part. And I think when I realized it initially, I didn't want to accept it. I'm like, no, I can quit whenever I want. And time proved me wrong. I couldn't quit whenever I wanted.
I guess you want to say you started noticing, hey, there's a problem here in your early 20s, maybe
No,
early
I would
before that.
say about 27.
20s. Okay. Later 20s. Okay. 27. Okay.
Right.
Let's just say everything's kind of spiraling right now. And I know you're an intelligent guy. You and I have known each other, several years now. And, we've been through a lot of business dealings and everything. And sometimes I don't think intelligence has anything to do with it. It's segregating your decisions and having the discipline and the willpower to stick with it. So what sparked you saying, hey, I need to change something here because this shit's dominating me and I need to do something about it?
I was broke. And let's see, my youngest child was born on December 20th, 2012. And
Okay.
then so on January 3rd, 2013, so what, 12, 13 days later, whatever it was. And I think it was just the pressure of another child. It's time for me to grow up. I think really more than anything, God gave me a break, man. I can't explain it. I can tell you what happened, and I can pinpoint exactly where I was. I was driving home from Cameron, Louisiana,
Okay.
and it was time for me to call somebody so I can get some substances. And I did not want to make that phone call, so I called my wife instead. And I said, "Hey, look,
Okay.
I don't know what I'm like. I'm fixing to call this guy, but I call you instead. And I didn't know why." I said, but she's like, "I know why." She had put together like an email a few months prior to that with
Okay.
treatment places in it, and she never sent it to me. And I think when I made that phone call, she sent it to me. I called the first one on the list there, and here we are. I don't know what made me make that phone call. It was just kind of a spur of the moment, like a hair trigger decision. And I called my wife, and
It sounds like you had an epiphany, is what it sounds like.
I was
And
completely defeated, man. I was completely
yeah,
defeated, and I was all that.
well, it's draining your money. And when you're doing something like that, so many people aren't living a single life. They're living 2 or 3 lives, and
Yes.
it's not sustainable.
Hmm.
I call it the testicular fortitude to do it. And it sounds like that's something that you experienced on that drive. And man, thank God you did, because you can say that that phone call probably saved your life.
I completely agree with that. And actually, my wife and I, we were talking about it recently. That
Hmm.
uh, what what would life look like if I wouldn't have done what I went through, to get straight? Would I still be married? Would my kids like me? And they probably don't like me now, but they wouldn't like me for different reasons, you know.
Right, right, right. You can
And
put up with them not liking you when you being a father, but if they're not
right, right,
liking you
right,
because of some bad decisions, that's a whole different ball game,
right. That's exactly
because you're
right.
not
That's
being
exactly
a father is the thing.
right.
I'm okay with it. They can be mad all day long at me for being a father. I'm good with that.
Sometimes I'll poke at them just to do. No, I'm kidding.
Right.
Um, they're good kids. They're good kids.
Right. No, but when you have those kind of moments like that, that's one of those most important moments you go through in life. They say there's like maybe 4 or 5 times you got to make a decision. And that seems like that's probably one of yours, because man, with being a musician back during that time too, I mean, the negative influences is just right there for you to screw it up, man. And it's like a buffet around you,
It is.
but
It
but
is.
it's not, it's, you gotta pay the bill sooner or later.
That's.
You brought yourself up to pay the bill, and I applaud you, my friend. That's what counts on that.
Well,
So
thank you.
that phone call happened in late 2012, right? Is that when that happened?
January 3rd, 2013.
What happened? Okay, so the last child was born in 2012.
Right.
Am I
And then
right? Okay, so
yeah.
your last child was born in 2012 in December, and then you made that phone call on January 3rd, 2013, and ever
Yes.
since then you've been sober.
Yes.
My brother, big brother. I can hear
Thank
the
you. I
audience
appreciate
clapping right now, man.
it. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you.
Absolutely. So when you started on your road back to recovery, and man, that's not an easy one. Like I said, I've seen people go through it, and it can get ugly, and relapses, and very roller coaster type of journeys. But what you're looking for is this: a steady, slow climb to get where you
Yep.
want to go, with incremental short goals to meet. When you started on your road to recovery, what were some of the early challenges you had or pitfalls or the things that you knew you had to try to overcome? So talk to me about that a little bit.
So I think initially it was the waking up every morning and not putting something in my body. I'd gotten used to it's just a habit. I'm gonna take a pill, I'm gonna do this, I'm gonna do that every morning. And that's initially what was one of the harder things for me. Um, but whenever I got into recovery, I made the decision to completely surrender. I'm going to do whatever these people tell me to do. I don't care if it sounds dumb, if I don't want to do it, I'm going to do it anyway.
You've got to sell out. You've got to sell out to it.
You got to
Yep.
completely sell out. And then
Whatever
once you
is
get,
your motivating factor, you've got to sell out.
well, let me talk to you a little bit about the motivating factor, right? Because I had wanted to
Please.
quit I wanted to quit a few years because I had a young kid, because I had a wife, because I had a job. And those are the wrong reasons for me to quit anything and stay off of it long term. I had to do it for me. I had to make the decision that I want to do this for me, and then every one of those other relationships are going to benefit because I made that selfish decision for me. And it's not a selfish decision, but it's I have to uh, make up my mind that that's what I want for me. And then once I was able to do that, that's when I was able to see some progress. And so if you're thinking about you want to do it for your kids, you want to do it for your wife, it sounds good in theory, but for me that wasn't the reality.
I think that kind of goes back to a very simple thing I bring up every now and then, and it's when you're on a airplane, and if the masks have to drop down, what do they tell you to do? If you have someone that is a dependent per se with you, you put your
Right.
mask on
Good.
first, then you put theirs on, because
Right.
it's that old saying: if you can't take care of you, how can you take care of somebody else? Because you really
Right.
can't. And again, you might be able to for a very short term, but then that sustainable word comes in again. It's not a sustainable process that can take
Right. Right.
place.
Right.
You were trying, it sounds like you were trying to make an effort to quit something that is not easy to do. And it's like you were searching for a way to get this done. And man, I'm going to do this for my wife. I'm going to do this for my kids. I'm going to do this for my job so I can be a good provider. But that just
Right.
wasn't working. It sounds like until you said, hey, I got to do it for me.
I'm going to give God that credit as well, Jay.
Sure.
That's around the time that God gave me a break. That's the only explanation I have. He gave me a bit of reprieve, if you will, some relief, very instant. But it's like once I made the decision, man, I felt so great about it, and
Yeah.
I knew I hadn't even started yet. But just that, okay, I give up, I
Ugh.
lose, I
Bricks
quit,
off your shoulders, right?
bricks off the shoulders. And then so at that
Right.
point, it allows me, I guess I operate good under processes. So once you give me a process, I can follow it and I can apply it to anything, right?
Right.
And so this wasn't any different for me. Like once I accepted what I had to do and I figured out the process, it was just a matter of doing it and being
Yeah.
consistent, being accountable to yourself. That was something I really wasn't used to. Honesty was kind of a very loose term in those days. So that's something that you have to relearn. You have to relearn how to be honest, even when it doesn't
Yeah.
benefit whatever it is. And early in recovery, I was able to pick up on a lot of that stuff real quick. And spending so much time in AA, I think and you sit down, you listen to the old timers, and everybody's got a
Yeah.
way, right? Everybody's got a story, but the way is kind of a lot of the same way, so you tend
Hmm.
to realize that it's like, well, he went through this and that, and he went through that and this, but it's kind of the same thing. It's two different journeys. So once I realized, hey, I'm not special, there's nothing different about me compared to anybody else in this room. Maybe this is what I need to be doing, and you just kind of piece it together. You really get, I think the big book of AA really, really helped me understand a lot
Nice.
of getting into the 12 steps and actually working the 12 steps. I think went a very long way for me. And then once you hit this, a certain point, then you just kind of, what I was doing is just going back to the beginning. So we'd read the big book and then I would just go right back to the beginning and just keep it. I mean, I've read through that thing dozens of times by now. It's a good read every time, you know, a lot of valuable information for anyone who's in the situation where they're trying to get out of, or you have a family member, a spouse, a coworker, a friend, anything like that. It's just got valuable information, good stories that you can relate to.
It sounds like you were going back to some of the foundation of what was going on with it. And one question I wanted to ask you before I forget is, tell me a little bit about when you made your first call, your first reach out to AA. Tell me about that experience.
My first AA meeting, I just walked into a meeting. I found a meeting
Okay.
and I just walked right on in. I sat in the back. I didn't say a word. I didn't do anything. And I just
Sounds like what
listened.
90% of the people probably do, because I used to see them.
Absolutely.
I used to see them
And
hiding in the
I think
back,
I,
listening and looking at what's going on.
and then I think I was like, I just kept going back, right? And I would sit in the same spot. And then you have this guy that he's seen you last week. So he's going to come and chat with you.
So how often? So you made you found where a meeting was, and you just showed up and went to the meeting. Okay, you left the
That's it.
meeting. I take it you had a good feeling about it, but like that first week, you stayed sober. Were there any other actions you were doing or any other research you were doing? How were you coping? But just going cold turkey, really. How were you coping with that in the beginning?
One day at a time. And that's it. The actual physical detox really didn't last that long. So
Okay,
after that, after the physical detox is over, and look, that varies from person to person. I've heard horror
sure.
stories where people are in detox for weeks at a time, and it is a miserable experience. Also, it showed me that I don't want to ever feel like that again. So, and I know what, and just add that like a little nugget of information, if you will,
Right, right,
reason not to go back. But the first week, you know, it's one day at a time. And if you can't make it one day at a time, you go 1 hour at a time. And if you can't do that, you
right.
go a minute at a time. And you just, no matter what, don't drink. You pick up the phone and you call somebody. That early on, I just gritted right through it.
Yeah,
It's what we did, knowing it was short term. It's gonna get better. This is only
right,
extremely temporary. So I just got to make it until tomorrow. And I just got to make it until tomorrow.
right.
And you keep
Well,
piling that on.
it's almost like what you see in the movies and on TV shows and things. A person will go into an AA meeting and somebody will notice them there and welcome them. At least one person. Sometimes it's two, sometimes it's three. And I guess you kind of find out who you gel with a little bit. You put more trust into that individual because they're further along in the program than you are
Right, right,
at that time, regardless. They're further along because you just walked in. And to have that person offering to help you that barely knows you and knows your situation. I know some people that go in there in the beginning, they discount that. But when you're being offered help and the help is there for you, then it ends up being as extremely hard as it is, and I'm not discounting it anyway. Make that phone call. And you got to think about your journey to sobriety started with a phone call to your wife. And
right,
so a phone call is a powerful thing, as long as it's to the right person.
right. But for me, it's hard to make that phone call, you know. So like early on, there were guys that like like offered a phone number, call if you need. There was a couple times where I probably should have called somebody. It was a rough time,
Sure.
very brief, and I didn't call anybody. I didn't relapse, but I should have. And it's the initial accepting the idea that I need to accept help. It's a big deal. It's well, for some it's a big deal. It was for me. I don't want to impose. I don't want to be a bother. He's probably busy. I'm not going to bother him. Oh, well, it's 6 o'clock. He's probably eating supper with his family. I'm not going to call him, you know, things like that. But I learned pretty quickly that that doesn't matter. I pick up the phone. Once you do it once and then you get a sponsor. And then once I got a sponsor, I was really able to, like, we were able to key in on a lot of things going through and the steps, actually physically making lists and amends and the whole process.
So one thing, if you could relate to somebody that's just thinking about it, or if they're just getting to that point of searching out for an AA meeting, or if they think they're having an issue, what would you tell them to do?
AA has offices everywhere. It's a AA central office. They are everywhere, whatever area that you live in. On the internet, you just Google AA meetings near me. It's super simple to find a meeting. They're every day. They're multiple times a day. And there's one about 10 minutes from where I work. So
Right.
they are abundant in most areas.
Right.
Some of the rural areas you may have to drive a little bit, but other than that, very readily available.
Or
And then
get
you
on
get
that
in
phone,
there, and get
you
on
know,
the phone immediately, get on the
get on that
internet.
phone.
If you don't know how to use the internet, ask your grandson, your son, whoever. There's and I would also say once you get in it, if you it can be pretty scary going in there, and you have
Sure.
zero expectations. I mean, but you have 1,000 different expectations at the same time. What you expect and what you get's not going to be the same thing in most cases, but it's still a scary moment of something that you have to go through. It's like, man, I'm
Hmm.
fixing to go in this room with all these alcoholics, and they're gonna judge me, and they're gonna look at me funny, and they're gonna want me to say something, and I don't want to do any of that, and I just want to
Right.
listen. And so, but I found that that's what they let me do. And so initially I was real quiet in the meetings until I got a few months under my belt, and then someone would call on me to answer a question or share a little bit or whatever, something good's going on in your life, you share that in a meeting. Um, like as it pertains to your recovery anyway.
Hmm.
And there's always someone coming in, man, I got a job today. I got my wife back today. I got a raise today. My child was
Nice.
born today, and things like that. And that you see
And you're
people,
genuinely happy for these accomplishments. Genuinely
it's a
happy.
miracle. It's a miracle. Every time you see it, it's a miracle. They happen all the time in AA meetings across the country, across the world. You'll see a miracle, and that's one of the sayings actually in AA is don't leave before the miracle happens, right? And
There
it's
you
talking
go.
about
There you go.
you and you personally. Just the biggest factor for me personally was consistency. I learned how to be consistent, and I think I always have to have a habit of some sort. I have to be addicted to something, right? So it can be good, it can be bad. So I go to the gym, AA meetings, things like that. So that's a good
Sure.
input. I'm feeding myself, So if you have that same kind of brain where you have to be involved in something, no matter what it is, make it a good something, maybe something that'll
I
benefit
like
you.
it. Let's transition here because you gave me the best segue to do it with what you just said. How did music help you, in your progress with getting sober? Talk to me about that.
So in my
Because that's
20s,
a
playing music was an easy source for the alcohol and the other substances. So
right.
I reached a certain point where I quit playing altogether, and I was still using. I couldn't do it anymore. So I get sober. I'm still not playing. I've got probably 3 years under my belt, and I'm comfortable enough where I get a drum set, and I spend about a week in the and I'm just banging
Right.
away, just kind of knocking off rust and just having fun with it.
So you took off from it for a while.
Yeah, there was about 6 or 7 years where I was not playing drums. I was not doing
Wow, I didn't know that. Okay.
any
Wow.
music
Okay.
whatsoever.
Yeah.
Whenever you're getting sober, I had to change my people, places, and things.
Sure. Sure.
So trying to get sober in that lifestyle would have been, I think, a nightmare.
Yeah. Why throw yourself into temptation when you've got a hard enough journey to accomplish, with the
That's right.
goals that you have? Totally
That's right.
understand.
So fast forward a little bit, and it's 2016, and
Hmm.
I've been back. I've been back playing drums for about a week. I put a picture of my drums on Facebook, and this Cajun guy, he's got a Cajun band, sent me a message. Hey man, can you play this weekend? And I'm like, I don't know, man. It's been years. He's like, yeah, you'll do fine. And he convinced me to go play this gig with him. I had
Okay.
I've had this drum set a week. I have no idea what I'm playing. I know it's Zydeco Cajun music,
Okay.
and we went and did the gig. It was a private event, so there was I mean, there was alcohol, but it wasn't like a bar or anything like that.
Sure.
And I went and played with that guy, and I had the best time of my life, stone cold sober. And it was like a light bulb went off. I'm like, this is what I've been missing the whole time, because my
I can do
20s
this.
are a blur, right? Like I don't remember a
Right.
lot of those times, but since 2016, when I got back into playing, I remember every show, not every show, but a lot of them, all the good ones
Right.
anyway,
Right.
and the bad ones too, especially the bad ones,
The good paying ones.
the good paying ones, the bad paying ones, all of them. So, but it taught me how, so I can go out and I can play music. I don't have to drink. I don't have to use. I can be around people who drink. I was a little worried about that, but once I did it, and I realized it was fun, it gave me confidence. And then it's just all these exercises in building confidence until you get to a point where you can regain society in a normal fashion. You're in
Sure.
recovery and you have to be careful and watch yourself well. There's going to come a point where you're going to recover as much as you're ever going to recover, I would assume. There's like two different schools of thought. Some say you're always recovering, and like others say you have recovered. So
Okay. That's interesting.
um,
Okay.
I'm of the we have recovered. Now, that's not
Yeah.
to say you don't have maintenance. You still got to maintain what you're doing. It's
Hmm.
things like that. And everybody's got their own little tricks. Once you get a few years under your belt, you'll be able to navigate your own path a little clearer. And it's just kind of taking bits from every part of your journey along the way, and you apply
Hmm.
what you can, use what you can, leave the rest. And that's a big saying in the rooms of AA. Just kind of take the information that, as it pertains to you, perhaps, someone told a story and you're like, man, I can relate to that guy. Well, maybe you should reach out to that guy and chat with him or whatever, and it takes a lot of confidence. It takes a lot of cojones to whenever you're new in the program. But once you get a few years in, it gets easier. It just gets easier. It allowed me to get back into playing music. It's where I'm at a point now to where I'm the designated driver most nights. I'm the one that like pull the trailer.
We're good.
I'm
Ryan's a designated driver.
so rounds for everybody. I'm gonna make sure you guys get home safe.
Yep.
I'm gonna remember it. I'm not gonna feel like crap the next day. And so that's all the benefits that I get, right?
Right.
I'm
Right.
still having just as much fun as everyone else because I'm doing what I want to do. If I wouldn't be playing drums, I wouldn't be there. Like I'm not there out just to party.
The big thing,
And
Ryan,
that's
you
the
just said, I'm
trade-off.
doing what I want to do right now. I'm having fun and being with my people on my terms.
That's right.
And the fact that you're able to bring that safety net for them as well, too, that's got to mean a lot to you. And it should mean a lot to you.
It
Um,
does.
I've been on both sides of the coin. I've been a designated driver and I've been the guy, and, but it's funny when you're a designated driver because you're laughing at, stuff.
Man,
So anyway,
it's
you know,
it's easy to make fun of them. You can make fun of them, and they can't really put up too much of a fight. It's you and three drunk guys in the truck. You're going to win that roasting
right.
battle every time. It's great.
Without a doubt. One thing that just stuck in my mind you talked about, I want to talk about this for a second too, is the recovered versus recovering. I think that's very interesting because the way I kind of read that, I guess you tell me your thoughts on this. The way I read that is that if you're recovered, you're not really having an issue with the internal battle of choosing the right thing for yourself. Whereas recovering means is you're still having the battle. Hopefully you're winning it, but you're still having the battle of the choice. How do you see that?
So the We Are Recovering crowd suggests that we never stop recovering. So even someone like me, who I feel very much rehabilitated,
Hmm. Sure.
would still be recovering, as in you will always be recovering for the rest of your life.
Hmm.
That's kind of doom and gloom to me personally. That's kind of, well, I don't want to be recovering. I want to be recovered, um, and maintain. It is an interesting school of thought on both sides. I get it. And from both
Yeah.
sides, you can say it either way. It doesn't affect me one way or the other. It's not,
I guess it's just more of an interpretation from a
it's
self-awareness
more
standpoint.
right. I would very much agree with that. Yes.
Okay. I'm just curious. That comparison just kind of really caught my attention. And but one thing I remember that my grandfather used to say, one thing stays clear in my mind is that, you got to make that decision whether to walk into that ballroom or not walk into the ballroom and walk into a AA meeting. He said, you walk
Right.
into a ballroom, oh, hey, welcome, hey, come on, come on, come on. It's going to cost you money. You're going to get drunk and headaches and miserable decisions and all that. Or you can go into this AA meeting and they still, people you don't know are going to be, come on, hey, man, come on in, come on in, come on in. But
That's
what's it
right.
going to cost you? It ain't going to cost you money. It's just going to cost you time, and you're
Time.
spending time and money at the other place.
Right.
You're not going
Right.
to have a headache the next morning. You're not going to feel miserable about the choice you made to do it. And you are in a place where people have gone through the things pretty damn close to what you're experiencing. And you have
Right.
people
Right.
that want to help you. These other cats are there. I'm not saying anything negative about it. It's just a fun time if you can
That's it.
manage it. If you
It's a
can
different
manage it.
crowd.
If you can't manage it, it can lead you down a dark path and a very dark place, which I know you've experienced. But if you go
Yes.
to the other side and you put that same tenacity into how easy it is to walk into a freaking ballroom, it should be just as easy to walk into a AA meeting,
It
a
is
place
not.
where you all welcome. But my point is, it should
It
be,
shouldn't. But the
but
reality
it's
is,
not. It's not. But now at this point in your life, is it easier to
oh,
walk into a AA meeting or is it easier to walk into the ballroom? You tell
it's
me.
easier. It's easier to walk into an AA meeting, of course. But you know what? Walking into a bar is not hard either. I'm only there for one reason most of the time. Uh, but definitely in AA meeting, I've become like one of the old guys now. Uh,
You're a leader, man.
no, I'm just one of the old guys.
One of the young guys.
Just one of the old
You're
guys.
too
I've
humble,
got the
dude. I knew you were
gray,
going to be humble about all this. I'm
trying
about
to
to brag
be.
on you about drumming a little bit more. Let's
No,
I know we've been on here about an hour or so, but let's get into my last question I have for you. And this is the most important thing. We talked about how we were going to tear this down in the beginning and you've been building yourself back up. You realize the dark hole and the the challenging path you were going down. You told us what sparked your sobriety, that phone call you made to your wife when you were driving home instead of that other call, pitfalls of recovery and the ups and downs you had with AA in the beginning. You talked about how music, helped you out and how you actually had gave up drumming to for a while to be away from those influences, the negative influences that so you had the discipline to stay away from it but it led you back full circle again, but in
yes,
a
it did.
very, very positive, good way. And I don't want to forget the spirituality that you had because I know that helped you out significantly here. But tell me about how your life has changed in the 13 years since you've been sober. And we're going to add that little adverb. It's changed significantly. Talk to me. Now, let's talk about the positive results of that extremely tough and challenging and just kick your ass in the dirt path you had to go down to get to where you are now. So talk to me about, and it's been 13 years. That's big thumbs up, brother.
Thank you. Hey, thank you. Life is amazing today. It's even in all its chaos, and even when I'm bored, whenever I'm not bored, it's great. It started out, so like initially in the process, I'm broke and this and that. Well, eventually you get a better job. And then you get a better job and a better job, and you're just making more money, and the kids are, well, the wife is considerably happier now that you're available and you're emotionally present, and the kids are
Uh huh.
the same way. And that's when you're out there, everything is kind of numb. But once you get sober, all those emotions kind of wake up, and you want to be engaged. It's get to do all that. It's not Jay, I got to go to work. No, Jay, I get to go to work.
Right.
Um,
Right.
and that's the difference for me. It's you mentioned spirituality a minute ago. That was a huge factor for me. Like I had to find, accept, and build a relationship with a higher power.
Absolutely.
Like you can call that, like some call it the universe, some call it God. I just choose a higher power, something greater than me, something outside of me, something I can believe in, you know. It doesn't matter what it is. That's what's taught. Like we don't care what your God is, who your God is. Believe in something bigger than yourself. So
Sure.
I call that a higher power.
Sure.
And then once you kind of, for me, the spirituality brought me peace.
Okay.
So now, and so like I put a high price on my peace and serenity. That's those are at a premium, if you will, and there's not much that's going to affect that because with that comes peace at home, peace at work, peace in the band, peace at the grocery store when I'm shopping. You know, I'm not a crazy psycho running over people with baskets because I don't have a drink in me. You know, things like that.
You're not living 2 and 3 lives, you know?
No,
You're living
it's
one
it's
life. That's a big thing I always heard my grandfather saying. It's so much of what you're saying right now, Ryan.
the
You
charade is very
there's one
very.
Ryan.
That's it. And so when you're out there, you have to exactly be a chameleon. You have to change for certain things and
Right.
just be two or three different people.
Right.
And now the Ryan that you are chatting with is the Ryan at home, is the Ryan at work, it's the Ryan at the grocery store. You know, it's the same
It's the real Ryan. It's the real
across
Ryan
the
to me.
board. And that was one of the greatest things that I got from recovery, you know, is the fact that I can be myself and I don't have to be a chameleon. I don't have to look over my shoulder. I don't have to worry about if the cops are going to come over at my door because
Busting the door down, you know?
whatever, you know, I did something again. And so all that
Right.
kind of goes away and that's where like a lot of the peace comes from is just the knowing that I don't owe anybody anything. Like I don't have to watch over my shoulder anymore. And having to do like if you do that for a while, you kind of always have it. But like when you realize you don't have to do it, it's I sleep very easy at night with things like that. Just the overall quality of life for me is improved. You know, I was talking about this earlier. The wife and I were having that conversation. What if it was the what if conversation? What if I wouldn't have
Yeah.
gone this route? You know, and I don't like to entertain that too much, but every once in a while I do as a reminder of what could have been. It's kind of like a not a driving factor, but a bit of a motivator, if you will. It's like, well, I need to make sure I'm going to go to church on Sunday, or I need to go catch a meeting on my lunch break tomorrow, or whatever. You know, it's just as more time passes, if you pay attention to your internals, so your mental and your spiritual, if you're lacking somewhere, and there's going to be signs of it, right? There's going to be I'm driving in traffic, and I'm really irritated because there's a sugarcane truck in front of me, and there's really no reason for me to be upset. But man, I'm getting really irritated because he's driving so slow. Well, there's something going on with me. That sugarcane truck's not the problem. I'm the problem. And okay, so that's man, what's like? Why am I so aggravated here? You know, let me look at that. And it's a way to kind of self correct at times whenever like I really don't feel right when I get to work in the morning. Something feels off. Well, okay, well,
Sure.
what's going on? Like, what am I worried about today? You know, something like that. And then you address it and it goes away. So those are
Self it sounds like you're doing a self-awareness and you need to have an offset. I get caught in that same kind of crap every now and then. It'll be like you said, you driving behind somebody in traffic. Traffic can cause some serious stress,
right,
and it's
right,
something people need to learn how to manage better. Everybody, a mechanism that I've used is I have a list of Spotify songs I love, and I'll just put on one of those songs, and it just distracts me from whatever I was doing. So
right,
again, that's the offset for something
right,
like
right.
that.
Right.
And so I know exactly what you're talking about. Talk to me a little bit about, and I rarely use time sensitive things in my podcast. I don't like doing that too much. But for this episode, I'm definitely making an exception. We're recording this in November, right around Thanksgiving time. It usually ends up being the most challenging time from what I'm aware of with, people with addiction problems, addiction issues. So that was, you and I agreed this would be a good time to put the podcast out. We're going to have it out in December, in a couple of weeks. Talk to me about something you would recommend people going through the holidays and they might not have somebody and they're just down in the dumps, down in their luck, and they've been relying on negative things. What can you relay? What message can you tell these people? Old, young, male, female, black, white, whatever, all races, all colors, all creed. What message does Ryan have to these people during the holidays? Because to me, the worst thing they can do is just sit there and grovel and not do anything about it. There's just too many resources out there to help. And sometimes all it takes is picking up the damn phone and making a call. So, what is your recommendation to these people, Ryan?
Number one recommendation is if you can't be alone, don't be alone. There are places that you can go, AA meeting, you can call me up. I'll chat with you on the phone. If whatever it takes. It's a time of year. It's the end of the year, so it's reflection. It's the holidays. It's family gatherings. It's good times, and this is a time where everyone drinks in the culture
Yes. Yes.
here. And if you can drink on the holidays, hey, more power to you.
Hmm.
I applaud you, but there's some of us that cannot. And go to a meeting, find a meeting, call a friend, call your mom, call somebody, pick up the phone, and don't be alone. You don't have to drink because, look, as cliche as this is, I'm going to lay it on you. If I can do it, you can do it. There's no question in my mind that this can be done by anyone, everyone. It doesn't matter your sex, color, all that stuff. None of that
Hmm.
matters. It's just human being, and that's it. And it's a human being with a problem. And other human beings like you want to help you, but you have to initiate. Unfortunately, it's not. I can't wish you to get sober. I can't wish that guy to not drink on Christmas Eve. And it comes true. You have to walk into that big scary AA meeting, or you got to pick up the phone and call the AA office or call a friend and have somebody else call. I mean, whatever. You don't have to drink under
Right.
any circumstances. Do you have to drink? You don't. And the more that you don't, the better you're going to feel at the end of the day. Uh, I always say that I never say I will never drink again because that's a long time, right?
Hmm.
I don't want to say never, but I'm just not gonna drink today, and then tomorrow I'm not gonna drink either. And then we're just
Hmm.
gonna go one day at a time. And if I can just
Small
make it,
steps.
if I can make it on Christmas Eve, man, I'm just not gonna drink. But on Christmas Day, man, I'm just not gonna drink today. I'm gonna drink tomorrow. And you just kick that can down the road. That's fine.
Right.
I've been doing it for 13 years. And I mean, to sit here and say I will never drink again is pretty arrogant of me because we don't know what the future holds. Who knows what's going to happen? I feel confident that I will never drink again because of the tools that I have and the joy I find in life and the misery that stuff brought me. It kind of all like ties together. But final message, Jay, we do recover. We can recover. People are doing it every day, all day long, and they have been for years. It's your mailman, it's your mechanic, it's people that you know very well that you may not know is in
Hmm.
recovery, and they're doing great. We do recover. It is possible. Yes.
Nothing gets me more excited and intrigued to talk to people than people that had their ass knocked in the dirt and they got their John Brown hind parts up and got back on the right track. I love talking to people like that. I'm like a cat. I've probably got 9 lives and I may have been through 5 or 6 of them already. But, I know I can come back from situations
Right.
and
Right. Yes.
everybody out there can come back from a situation. And if you're not able to make that phone call, or if you have trepidation about making that phone call, use an offset. Get out some music you like, get that TV on, watch some shows you like to watch, but do something that's going to make you happy. Don't do anything that's going to bring you down, because that just makes you weaker for that decision that you're trying to make.
Yep.
And it's just so important during the holidays. And if you're not, like Ryan said, and I believe it 100%, I need to do it for my kids. I need to do it for my grandkids. I need to do it for no, 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 no. You need to do it for you. And once you do it for you, then you can take care of all the other dominoes that are around you.
That's
And
what
you don't want them to
that's how,
fall. You want those dominoes you can stand those dominoes up. And we don't know everybody's story, but it's possible to get help. And that's the message that we want to relay to everybody out there, is to the help's out there, find the help. There's resources everywhere. Use your resources, use your strengths,
right.
get the help you need. And we're not just talking about people that are alcoholics or drug addiction. There's people that have shopping addictions. They can't stop shopping. They build up their credit. They go into bankruptcy. People that
Yep.
can't put food down, they eat themselves into diabetic comas.
All kind of stuff.
All kind of video games, it's crap.
You beat me to it. I
Scrolling
was
on the
about to grab
phone,
up.
yeah, scrolling on that damn phone, put it down, talk to people, enjoy being around people, look at nature, sound like I'm turning into a flower child here. But anyway, do the offsets that you need, and to get you to the point that where you can make that phone call.
Right.
Um, brother, I can't, again, Ryan, I really, really appreciate you being on here today, sharing this journey. I learned a lot from some things with you today, and I didn't know if I could respect you more, but I think I do, man. But man, outstanding, brother. Outstanding.
I greatly appreciate you having me on here. It's been fun. I enjoy talking about these topics. I just love talking about it. It helps me. It's a reminder for me to have that. Hey, maybe I am doing the right thing today. Things like that.
Absolutely.
That's what this conversation is. It's a Ryan mental check point, if you will. So I appreciate you having me on season 3. We'll do an episode of just you and I, drum and bass, live.
Oh, we're gonna do that,
together.
Baby. That might be a TikTok live. We're gonna see. We're gonna do something there.
There you go. There you go.
Now, you did promise me you'll start a In the Pocket with J Bo Lafayette chapter, right? Hey,
you almost got me, man. You almost got me. That was good.
Now I want to tell you, I caught all the wrestling references you did too. You had a few "if you wills," like Dusty Rhodes used to say, and you had to get on that phone and call somebody like Ernie Ladd used to say, the big cat.
There you go.
So nice. I caught that stuff, man. That's old school there, baby. No, getting back to the serious thing. Did I miss anything? Did we miss anything you wanted to talk about or cover today or anything like that? Or
no, I think you got it pretty well covered. If there's help, go get some if you need it, please.
All right, man. Well, with that, we're gonna break out of here, and I just want to remind everybody to please, all of our people out there, all of our people, Ryan, to follow us on YouTube, Spotify, Apple, iHeartRadio, Amazon Music. We advertise the show on X, formerly Twitter, TikTok. We're on quite a bit, Instagram, LinkedIn, and Facebook. So no reason to miss us. Please catch us if you would on YouTube. That's where we try to drive a lot of traffic to. Hit that bell on there so you don't miss anything with us. And Ryan, as we always say at the end, where are we going to catch them, baby? On the flip side.
Flip side.
The flip side, baby, of In the Pocket with J Bo. We thank y'all very much.
That's it.
Thank you.
Thank you.